All right, week 10, let's talk about the dangers of a single story and what writing assignment you're going to be doing this week. So, in live class today, we looked at the TED Talk, The Dangers of a Single Story. And we spent some time writing and discussing in small groups about what the speaker was talking about, what are these themes we're discussing, and really what does it look like out in the real world. You all raised some excellent connections. So I'm going to ask you to think back to what you wrote in live class today and kind of keep those ideas going. So now that we've finished the TED Talk, your homework for the rest of the week is to first read the assignment sheet for your writing assignment, and that's exactly where I'm going to take you now. So to get to that assignment sheet, you're going to go into Unit 8, which is our new unit, and at the top you'll find a folder for Week 10, that's this week. Once you head into the Week 10 folder, you can see the vignette assignment sheet, and that's the assignment sheet I'm talking about. So once you open that up, you should be able to see what I am seeing. And feel free to click pause on this video as you're listening if you need to slow down or go back and re-watch anything. That is up to you to do as you need to. So the first thing I would do is make a copy of this document. And I'm not going to read the assignment sheet word for word in this video. I do expect you to read every word of the assignment sheet, but I kind of want to cover how to get started. So the first thing I would do is make a copy of this. This assignment sheet is going to take into consideration several of the personal essays and vignettes that we have read. So the first one, From a House on Mango Street, the second one, The Danger of a Single Story, and the third one, which you have not read yet but have started in class, is Just Walk On By. So Just Walk On By is the essay about the black man's experiences out in the world, and how you're going to link to that is down here. From Just Walk On By, Black Men in Public Spaces. So after you have read through kind of the opening of this assignment sheet, you're going to come down here, and you are welcome to re-watch the TED Talk from class if you want to review any ideas. We left off on minute 13:23, so you can actually jump ahead and pick back up if you'd like to finish the TED Talk, or you can go back and re-watch the first section again. Some questions you should think about and respond to some ideas in your interactive notebook. How does the message of the speaker speak to you? How does the speaker use vignettes to back up ideas? She tells lots of little stories using vignettes in her speech, in her talk. And then finally, going back to what we're going to be writing about, what are the single stories that have been placed on you? And what are the stories you've placed on other people? Because we're all guilty of that. So once you've kind of reviewed the danger of a single story, you are ready to read Just Walk On By. And you can click on that to open it, and it will take you to the essay. It's a short essay. It shouldn't take you too long to get through. As you're reading this, go ahead and make sure that you look at the questions at the end, as well as the questions I have for you here. What is the main idea claim for this writer? So he's writing from his own personal experiences. And again, going back to that place of human empathy, listening to someone's experience and listening to the story they're telling. How does the writer use vignette techniques to support and back up ideas? And then what single stories do we see about black men from the author's experiences? And then finally, you can think back to House on Mango Street, which is linked from the announcements. And then if you want to look at the 100 people, if the world is 100 people, I have that link for you there as well. So our writing assignment, you will be writing a vignette. Okay, your job is to write a vignette on a similar theme as the ones we've been discussing in class. The starting point I'd like you to consider is the theme of what are the dangers or the danger of a single story, and how has that impacted your life, or maybe how have you lived with labels people have given you, or an experience where that became really clear that someone was putting a label on you. And then if you had a hard time brainstorming an idea from your own life, maybe you've had a realization that you were actually putting a single story on someone else or a group of people. What was that realization like? Can you write about that idea? I do have some ideas that students were writing about in our Zaption responses that you can be thinking about. Some more examples back to thinking about what the label of a teacher is. Another example, I'm from Kansas, and I don't actually tell people that. I usually say I'm from Colorado. What are some labels people think of when they hear I'm from Kansas versus I'm from Colorado, right? Is there a single story there? So once you kind of start brainstorming, I'd like you to draw a T-chart in your notebook. So just write down the page, potential single stories people have created about me, and potential stories in my life that really say who I am. So this can be an example of, just like the TED Talk author, the speaker was talking about, you know, her background, her experiences, bigger life events that have also shaped her. Cool. So that's kind of what we're thinking about there. And then finally, what are your experiences with this topic? Really stay focused on vignette. Vignettes use dialogue to show rather than talk about what people were talking about. So you might not say, I heard her say this behind my back, or, he said this, out in the distance. You'd actually write the dialogue of what someone was saying. Look at the vignettes we've been reading. Lots of really strong sensory detail. I want to see you try that as well. And then before you start writing, and that's why we're doing all this brainstorming, really think about what your big idea is going to be. How are you going to introduce it? How are you going to set it up? Look at how the other authors have set up their own kind of personal writings and personal essays using elements of vignette to make that happen. So before you write, make sure you review the tips on creating a vignette. You already have notes on this. So look back at your notes and see what your 2 goals were. And then finally, please review handouts on writing dialogue. I do expect to see some dialogue in your writing, but just pay careful attention for how to use punctuation there. And then finally, how you're going to be assessed is down here at the bottom. Your main idea is clear, you have good context, you've got an overall kind of story structure with some reflection. You're evoking a specific mood and certain feeling. And then finally, do not go over 1,000 words. Importantly, though, and really what I care about with this assignment is this is some heavy topics, and these are things that are very personal to us, and potentially, we've had negative and positive experiences with. So as you're writing this assignment, write what you need to write your story, because that's an important part of finding our voices. And just like we heard in the TED Talk, whoever's telling the story, they're the ones shaping that narrative. They're the ones with the power. So this can kind of be a chance for you to even take back some power from potentially negative experience and really share your piece there and write what you need to write. So going back to kind of our calendar just really quickly, and don't forget, go back and rewatch the video if you need to clarify anything. Your vignette will be due this Friday by the end of the day. It's probably going to take you some time to read the other essay, to go through the planning documents, as well as ask me any questions. As always, please let me know what I can do to support you and what you need from me. Have a fabulous spring break, and thank you for your excellent thinking. Bye-bye.